For decades, we were told to eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. And the idea was that's when you would need the most amount of energy. And we were always told never to skip breakfast. But now skipping meals is all the vogue, and it's a health trend. But is it something which is based on science? Does it work? And is it something which will render a difference in your life? Here's the trend, and it's called intermittent fasting. Let's talk about it. What is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is not a diet, but it's an eating pattern, and it focuses on when you eat, not on what you eat. And the idea is simple, that you're trying to establish a starvation state within a period of time where your metabolism changes and it basically depletes the body of sugar stores and switches you to fat burning for a small period of time and allows you to process all of this and give you health benefits, including improved blood sugars, reduced inflammation, and perhaps enhanced heart and brain health. The common fasting schedules can be 16/8, where 16 hours a day you're fasting and you have an 8-hour window to eat whatever you want. There's also 5-2, where you normally eat for 5 days and restrict calories for 2 days. Finally, there's OMAD, which is 1 meal a day. All of these have found some type of evidence which seems to suggest that it might be healthy for people. But what is the science behind intermittent fasting? The idea is simple. When you fast, insulin levels drop because insulin is secreted when you need your body to absorb the glucose which you're seeing, and as well as the peripheral insulin receptors to take it up into your muscles and other areas. It also allows the body to burn fats more effectively. This may lead to a number of benefits, including weight loss, improved insulin sensitivity, cellular repair, and longevity. Some of the studies with autophagy and other things have suggested that this could be the case. In addition, there's been others which talked about the glucose homeostasis and lipid profiles and anti-inflammatory effects. But is it for everyone? The common mistakes are that overeating junk food during your fasting period is completely acceptable and that you can eat whatever you want. If you eat the wrong foods, even whether it's in a small selected time period, they're still going to be the wrong foods. You are what you eat ultimately. And if you're not getting enough protein, this can lead to significant muscle loss. Secondly, extreme fasting can lead to hormonal imbalances in some patients and has been shown to be detrimental to their health. Intermittent fasting can be effective for weight loss and overall health, but common mistakes can hinder progress. And when compared to other types of dieting, can be equivalent to them, like a Mediterranean diet, for instance. But the mistakes you can make are jumping in too quickly after you have a long period of fasting and overeating during the eating windows. Secondly, being too rigid and skipping essential meals. And third, ignoring macro and micronutrient needs and not listening to your hunger cues. What has been shown is that fasting can also elevate cortisol, the stress hormone, which may lead to increased stress and potential muscle breakdown if not managed properly. Who should not ever try intermittent fasting? In my book, if you have strict insulin-dependent diabetes and your sugars are very, very labile, meaning that they go from up to down, I would not recommend it without very close support, meaning checking your sugars regularly. Instead, I would be on a very, very specific diet which pays mind to higher proteins, less sugar or carbohydrates, and this sort of thing. The second is patients with thyroid disorders might be at risk, or eating disorders might be at risk because you may not get the macro and micro as it is, and then when you put it on an intermittent fasting schedule, it may worsen that. The third is in pregnant women, you have to be very careful because you're eating for two. And remember, it's not just you that's fasting, it's the little one inside. In patients who have other issues with their health, you can have problems with digestion and problems with other things. And I think you need to correct that first before you start to do intermittent fasting. So in summary, intermittent fasting has been shown in some studies to benefit in weight loss. Taken alone should be part of a lifestyle, not a specific diet. Remember, it's timing of eating in intermittent fasting, not a specific diet, but you gotta make sure that you observe the macros and the micros and get what you need in that shorter period of time. The idea is simple, that if you eat for a smaller period of time, you absorb less calories. but there's pitfalls to that as well, which we've outlined earlier. The practical tips are that you have to fast in a fashion where you maintain traditional eating habits. What that means is basically that you absorb the macro and micros that you need to get. It's just in a shorter period of time. Finally, intermittent fasting is backed by some science, but it isn't magic. If it's done right, it can be definitely effective, but it's not one size fits all, and it's not for everyone, nor is any diet. Last thing which I'm going to say is that no diet alone in a vacuum will give you long-term results. Instead, in my book, you have to engineer a lifestyle which fits your needs and is sustainable. Because if you're traveling a lot, if you have a work situation where the work-life balance isn't great, or if you don't have access to food at certain periods of time when it's in your eating period, it can be very challenging. So like everything else, it has to be part of a bigger lifestyle. And as we always promote, a 360-degree approach, which looks at all of the pillars which we talk about. We appreciate you watching, and I would love to hear what comments you have in the description below in the comment section. I would love to see what your experience has been with intermittent fasting. As always, leave the comments below, hit the like, subscribe, and share so that we can share this with other people who want to hear about this, because there are others who are curious about this. And we will continue to provide you with these types of videos. If you want to hear one section or more in this, or are curious about something, we've left the links to science-based journals we research. And as always, as I've said before, we try to be a science-based channel so that everything I talk about, we've heavily researched before we talk about it. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to you coming back for more, and I look forward to you sharing it. We'll talk soon.